What's good? What's good, Knicks brethren? Hope everyone's well. The streets are buzzing. We're here. We're less than a week away from the 2022 NBA draft. I'm hyped up tonight, Friday night. The feeling is right. And we're going to chop this thing up. Hope everyone's well. How have you been? Salute to the whole chat. The replay gang out here strong. Salute everybody. Man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to talk about this. My final draft big board tonight. We're going to talk about all the news lately, the trade rumors, the New York Knicks. There's talk that the Knicks are heavily pushing to trade up. What else is new? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the things that we think are true, some of the smoke that you feel like is just fluff right now. You know, there's a lot of that talk this time of year. And we're going to get into the good, the bad, the ugly, like we do as well. But yeah, salute to the chat out here. Keith, what's good? What's good? Allah Wise, Jay Boogie out here strong. Frank Matos, salute fam. Sergeant Robert from the Philippines. Yep, interested in Kai Soto. We'll chop that up. And Bricks Nation, hope you're well, fam. Jaden Ivy, that man's name's been all over the news. What's going to happen? Nobody knows. Still Dre, what's good, fam? And Prometheus, that's a tap. Everyone else coming through the building. Tarek, what's good, fam? What's good? Jaden Ivy, we're going to talk about that tonight. Non-stop, no topic out of bounds. And Phil Sports Plus TV, what's good? And yeah, there's been a lot of talk. And we're getting closer and closer to the NBA draft, less than a week away. The New York Knicks in 11th spot. We're going to talk about what we want to happen on draft night. And we're going to talk about my big board, of course. But we'll get into the good, the bad, and the ugly since we last caught up. And there's been a lot of talk, as there should be, with less than a week away. And we always start with the good. The draft less than a week away. And there's trade up talks. You know, what else is new? The New York Knicks went on a winning streak at the end of April. We all know what happened, and it, you know, put our chances of getting into the top four a lot more difficult. But the New York Knicks do have assets. They have a strong interest report saying Jaden Ivey in getting into that top four. And I think this year is the year, out of all years, the New York Knicks can trade up because the Sacramento Kings in that fourth spot, I feel like that is a strong possibility. Now they're it's obviously going to be auctioned to the highest bidder, and let's see whether the New York Knicks put all their chips in the table. So we'll talk about that. But there is trade up talks. You know, the New York Knicks, obviously Jaden Ivey is the prize, and we haven't had that point guard for more than a couple of decades. You know, and he is a star potential talent, generational talent that would put this franchise in a situation where we could be box office each and every night. You know, so I'm excited for that possibility. There's options available with the risers and the fallers this time of year as well. Shaden Sharp, we'll talk about him tonight. Is he falling? Is that smoke? What other smoke do you believe to be true? What sounds true to you? What sounds right? Don't listen to some of this fluff, unless it's from a credible source. But truth is, there are risers and fallers. We'll find out on draft night exactly who the heck was hyped up more than what they should have been, and who was sneaking under the radar as well. We'll talk about sleepers and who we like, who might climb up. And there is talk reports out of from Jake Fisher, from Nerlens Noel, that the New York Knicks he's the main guy that the New York Knicks have been talking to all teams for, in terms of getting out of Nerlens Noel's contract. It's an expiring contract, so could that deal be a lot more movable than we first thought? And shout out to everyone coming through. Salute, peace, and we're chopping up the good, the bad, the ugly. Now the bad, it's going to take a lot of assets to move up. Now, depending on where you sit with Jaden Ivey, I feel it's worth, obviously parting with hefty assets. You need to get in that position. But exactly how much do the New York Knicks need to give up remains to be seen. We'll talk up possibilities in terms of what you feel the New York Knicks is a fair package, with the 11th pick, with a veteran, with a young player and future picks, possibly to satisfy Sacramento. And of course, the New York Knicks hired Rick Brunson, the hire as well. For me, it was a bad situation. Going back to that situation where giving Tom Thibodeau um, a lot more power with this organization, bringing in his assistant as well. No, could it pay off? Could Rick Brunson help out possibly? But I'm not a fan of the move personally. I wasn't a fan of the move of getting Rick Brunson. So far, Johnny Bryant is still rocking here. Who knows what's going to happen with the Utah Jazz gig? He has to be that head candidate still as well. So that remains to be seen. And the ugly, trading the pick. For me, I want to keep the 11th pick and try to even move up. Like we said, the New York Knicks do need young talent, and trading the pick, there's no one out there that I feel like is going to move the needle, right? There's talk of the Malcolm Brogdon trade with Indiana. I'm not for that whatsoever. I don't want no parts of Malcolm Brogdon. Would he help? Yes, he would help, but he's not going to push the needle, in terms of making us a contender. Absolutely not. And I touched on it earlier. There's a lot of fake smoke right now. Don't get played. Listen to the credible sources. We all know who they are, right? Everyone want to be an expert this time of year. Truth is, we don't really know what's going to happen and what the New York Knicks are going to do. So look out for the fake smoke. And of course, our own Mitchell Robinson is a free agent. What the hell's going to happen with Mitch? I'm feeling more and more strong that the New York Knicks will retain Mitch. But losing him for nothing would be an absolute disaster. And Mitch is going to be a hot commodity. I feel there's going to be at least 2, 3, 4, maybe more teams interested in Mitch as well. And to cap off the ugly, the Golden State Warriors won the title again. For me, I was not a fan of that. I love to see a new champion. I don't want to see the same old champion over and over again. I salute to them. Obviously, they've pushed the right buttons as well, but for me, it's just depressing. I don't know how you feel, how you guys feel with the Warriors winning again. But for me, the fact that they were the worst team in the NBA 2 years ago, and fast forward 2 years from now, they're the NBA champions as well. Here we are sitting here with our last championship in the 1970s as well. That has me feeling a certain way as well. So without further ado, let's chop this thing up. Salute to everyone that's come through. Manchild, Drew Licata, what's good, fam? What's good? P Nice, salute. Allah Wise, Fabian, what's good? Allah says that you see how Dallas moved 23 expiring for Christian Wood. Yeah, I'm glad you started with that, Allah. Yeah, I think it was a situation where they're making moves out there. Dallas, they're making moves, and let's see what happens with that situation with Christian Wood. He'd be a nice fit. I feel like stretching the floor. And King Ribby, what's good, fam? Yeah, appreciate you. And Dirty Dancer, what's good? Yep. Whenever you can take advantage of those dummies, Kings, you have to do it. It could be a win-win. We all know the Kings do get played a lot, but for me, the Kings are stacked. Yes, they probably should take Jaden Ivey. I don't really know the real reason why they would entertain getting out of the pick, but I know their owner is very frustrated. Vivek wants to make the playoffs. That sounds very familiar. We all know that with our owner, James Dolan. So, yeah, the Kings do want to make the playoffs. They want to be competitive. I can understand how the owner's getting sick and tired of finishing 9th, 10th, 11th, all of that stuff, right? And I know he's probably sick of that, and he just wants a veteran, right? So we will chop up what the trade package might look like, But yeah, appreciate everyone out here rocking with us tonight. You've been having wars with Nick fans about your guy Jaden Ivey. Yeah, facts, right? I love the loyalty, Tarek. Yeah, you got to rock with your guy, and he is a franchise-altering guy. Truth be told, I feel like he's going to be higher on a lot more people's boards than fourth. Would someone be ballsy enough to take Ivy ahead of the other three guys? Let's see. But yeah, I feel like it's a situation where Ivy could definitely be 1, 2, 3 on any team's board. Yeah, we just don't know, right? There's going to be a shocker on draft night, and we're going to be here covering it and chopping it up. with everyone. Put in the chat what you feel like is going to be the big surprise on draft night. I love to hear it. And a man-child, appreciate it. What's good, fam? Yeah, it's been a while too. I will say, everyone, I've been on vacation. I went overseas for a week or so. I saw the UFC out in Singapore, UFC 275. I caught some sun, and I'm back just before the draft, ready to kill this thing and have fun, chop this thing up, and hopefully it ends on a good note for the Knicks. And Keith, yeah, Ivy ain't a point guard. No, I think he can grow into the role. Right now, he needs to obviously work on the full point guard repertoire. But at the situation we're in, we need talent. We need talent. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Appreciate you. Yeah, Real King, salute, fam. What's good? Let's get it. And I know everyone's excited, man. The chat's absolutely buzzing. Manchild says the Ivy Chase is competition now with 4 teams who want him. Yeah. Once the Sacramento Kings leaked that out, and again, I go back to that smoke situation, teams purposely leak things out too. So Sacramento, by leaking things out, they can find out what other teams would be interested in offering. They can let the media run wild with all these fake potential trades and things like that. It helps them gauge exactly what they could get for that 4th pick with Jaden Ivey, as they should. They're doing their due diligence. Maybe at the end of the day, it's all smoke and they end up selecting Jaden Ivey as well and trading him later as well. That's a possibility. Draft him, wait a year or two, see how good he looks, and then cash in more value with that situation. And Tarek, I remember when they said Steph was not a point guard. Yeah, good point. I said, then these fools know nothing. In the same way, I say that Jaden Ivey is a point guard. Look, he can make people better. He can make the team better. The definition of what is a point guard right now, it varies. It varies on, your age. It varies on how you see the game, the players you love in the past and present, all of that good stuff. But at the end of the day, Emmanuel Quickly, can fill in that role. He wasn't a true point guard, I feel like, coming out as well, but he's showing that he can run that position to me as well. So yeah, we will chop that up as well. And Chef New York Knicks, what's good, fam? Who's my pick? It's all getting straight to it, fam. Look, my first thing is to trade up to get Jaden Ivey if we can get into that 4th spot. I feel like the Knicks are in a situation where they have Tom Thibodeau, they have a front office that's in a prove-it year. That we all know they're in a situation where there's pressure mounting, and I feel like this is the perfect year to finally put more assets in the middle of the table to try to get that player they want. They missed out on Chris Duarte last year. We all know what happened with that situation. Now Jaden Ivey, there's going to be heaps of competition, but we'll chop up my pick at 11 later when I pull up my big board. But yeah, my pick is Jaden Ivey. We do need to put some assets in the middle of the table. The Dallas pick, future picks, all of that stuff. I'm not playing anymore. I want the New York Knicks to go get that guy that they want. Go get him. He's CAA. They were there in the building. Now, I think AJ Griffin is another strong possibility if he falls. Johnny Davis, I feel like, there's a situation where he might fall as well. So what's good, Jay? What's good? Appreciate you. Let's chop this thing up. We're less than a week away. JT Riddick, what's good, fam? And Jay Boogie, we're about to make a major disturbance to the league next week. You heard him. You heard Jay Boogie. Always optimistic, always passionate, always fired up. And appreciate you, everyone out here. Ilmatics, what's good, fam? What's good? CAA mob for real. P nice. Yep. And Manchalt, if we stay at 11, Branham is the best choice as well. Yep. I got a lot to say on Malachi Branham as well. And just to touch on some of the latest mocks, we had Jonathan Wasserman have Malachi Branham at 11, and he did back up some intel on Twitter. Salute to that fan that asked him why did he have Branham at 11, and he had AJ Griffin slide to 12. And Wasserman said, based on some new intel, LOL. And then he said, I try to make these mocks as accurate as I can based on some intel. So it looks like AJ Griffin is the dude that could be sliding. Um, Jonathan Wasserman's more of the credible kind of guy. Yeah, it could be smoke, what he's been fed, but AJ Griffin, based on some medicals, based on some other rises, AJ Griffin could be a guy that falls, and he has Malachi Branham at 11 as well. I wouldn't be mad at the pick, just to say that. I wouldn't be mad at Malachi if the Knicks have to pick at 11, but we should be trying to trade up. Whether we can get to 7, hopefully get Benedict Mathurin at 7. Perhaps they want AJ Griffin. Maybe they need to take him at 7. Yeah, there's a lot of intel and there's a lot more stuff coming through. But let me pull up this big board as well as we slowly start to chop up these prospects more and more. Give us your thoughts in the chat. We're less than a week away. We'll be touching on my final big board tonight. We'll be talking more about what the package may look like to get to the 4th spot, to get to the 7th spot. Who would you be willing to give up? And do you feel like Sacramento would be, willing to take on that asset from us? For me, it starts with the draft compensation. Although, Sacramento, if they do want to make the playoffs, it looks like they might be wanting more win now talent. What do you guys think about that? If Sacramento want more win now talent, Vivek's getting impatient. He wants to make the playoffs. He's sick and tired of falling short in the West. They want to make noise. One thing that tells me if the Sacramento Kings trade the 4th pick, they want to make noise next year, right? They cannot afford to move, miss out on the chance to get Ivy and miss out on the playoffs. No way. And D Cool, Agbaji or Johnny Davis as well. Some of the fine wings in this draft as well. They can Agbaji, a sniper, great movement off the ball. A competitor as well. Johnny Davis, another competitor as well. I could see those two possibilities. I could see them, fam, with Tom Thibodeau here. And I do feel like the Knicks are in a similar mindset to Sacramento. I'm not going to lie. I think the New York Knicks want to get back into the playoffs next year. It's hard to see the Knicks not wanting to get back in the playoffs and do this slower build that I personally want the New York Knicks to do. And I know a lot of you guys want the Knicks to do, to be a little bit more patient. But I feel like the New York Knicks, it's just not in that situation right now. We got Tom Thibodeau, we got Leon Rose on the clock. Worldwide West was here to bring in ready names as talent, all of that stuff. All those directions point to the New York Knicks needing to get back into the playoffs next year as well. So this trade up stuff, yeah, it's legit, folks. It's legit. Whether they could put together the package, let's see. But Dirty Dancer says Ivy is a good outside shooter. I like the fit with RJ. Well, his pressure on the rim, his speed, his speed in transition, he'd get us easier buckets. Tom Thibodeau's offense stinks. We all know, and we play too slow. We get bogged down in the half court. Julius Randle here, Jaden Ivey's speed would put pressure on the D, right, and that would get us easier buckets. Sherwin says Malachi might be the worst defender in this draft. I hope the Knicks run away from him. Look, I'm glad you mentioned it, Sherwin. I wouldn't say the worst defender in the draft, but I know what you mean. I know the point you're trying to make. And there are legit concerns. Malachi Branham's concerns are his defensive potential. But for me, I feel like it's not as bad. I feel like people are saying he's a terrible defender. I think that's a bit overblown. He's certainly not going to be a liability defensively. I feel like maybe another year or two in the league once he gets stronger. He's got good size. His motor ain't bad. So I feel like he can develop to be a legit defender in the league. He's only 19. He's one of the youngest prospects as well. We have to consider that, ladies and gentlemen. When I consider a prospect, I consider everything. He was obviously one of these guys on Ohio State. He was a freshman. All of that stuff. He showed a heap of improvement in the second part of the season. P. Nice. Burks, Noel, Obi, and 11, and the Dallas pick for Ivy. So let's break that down again. So we got Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, Obi Toppin, 11, and the Dallas pick for Ivy. Yep. I think that's a base package. Yeah, I don't think you're far off. P. Nice. Appreciate you for that. Obi certainly is going to have to, his name's going to have to be there. I think 11th pick, absolutely, that's going to have to be there as well. And the Dallas future pick as well. That's a bit of a package. That could please Sacramento. Not going to lie. With Sabonis there, how does that fit with Obi? I feel like maybe they counter offer and they ask for quickly as well. That makes the situation even more interesting, right? Would you guys be willing to part with Emmanuel quickly if it can get you Jaden Ivey? Let's say we stick with P. Nice's package, but we swap out Obi for quickly, basically Nerlens Noel and Burks are throw-ins. So it's Obi, or it's quickly 11 and the Dallas pick as well. That's a bit of a haul for Sacramento. I think they have to consider that. But what other offers do they get? It's going to be really interesting. And Tarek says no more shooting guards. Yeah, we do have a glut, fam. Absolutely, Grimes, RJ, Fournier, Burks. Let's get out of 2 or 3 of them before we have a conversation about that. More shooting guards. Yeah, it's interesting because it's frustrating because this draft has a lot more shooting guard talent. We have Johnny Davis, we have Brandon, we have Jaden Hardy, undersized 2 guard. It's just frustrating that this draft doesn't have a whole wider range of positional talent as well. They all seem to fall in that wing spot. Now, Jeremy Sohan, another interesting prospect, Tari Eason, guys that can play more 3-4 as well. Ousmane Dieng as well. Are those guys really capturing the New York Knicks' heart? And maybe we just haven't quite seen a lot more news about it. I feel like we are going to hear a lot more workouts coming up that comes to light, with that situation. I know there's only less than a week to go, but I feel like the New York Knicks aren't going to stop putting in work right up until the draft, until dudes shut it down. We might hear of a last-minute workout heading into next week. What do you feel about that? And Key says RJ's D is even worse. Yeah, he was horrible this season as well. RJ needs help. Absolutely, he needs help. This team, the way currently constructed, there wasn't any wing help for RJ Barrett, and we were asked, if he's our second leading scorer, we need to give him help on the defensive end as well, to give him that help, that wing help. I'm a fan of Eason. I'm a fan of Sohan as well. Would I prefer to trade down to get them? Yeah, I think that's a better situation. But if we had to take them at 11, I wouldn't be mad because they fit their current roster. They fit well. We need a guy at the 3 and the 4 spot as well. And of course, we don't know what's going to happen with Julius Randle. That's going to continue into the season. I feel like we're taking Randle into opening night as well. I'd be more on the surprise side if the Knicks swung a trade in draft night, free agency. I feel like we're going to carry Randle into the season. That's my thoughts. I feel like we'll be selling low on Randle. I feel like we could get a lot more value than what some of the disrespect out there has been saying in the media as well. But I understand he did tank his value. Like, I understand both sides are to blame. Tom Thibodeau, Randle's to blame. No one being held accountable, all of that stuff with that. So yeah, I love the buzz coming through so far, but let's go through the big board as you see. So, this is my final one. I'm not going to make any more changes. I thought about it today, and I'm happy with what I've come up with as well. And I feel like Paolo Banchero. Now, this ain't considering any team needs. This is just what I feel like in a redraft in 5-10 years from now. This is what I feel like the prospects could be ranked at. And I feel like Paolo Banchero, versatile guy, can dribble, can shoot, can score, can do it all. Jabari Smith, we got Chet as well. I feel like Chet, could be number 1, but it's just too risky. We've seen that situation all over with the tall, lanky big man as well. Now he has, screaming potential, but I feel like it's a little bit more on the riskier side, taking Chet number 1. For me, you got to go for the little bit more of the surefire thing. And Jaden Ivey slots in at number 4. That's an easy decision right there for me. Right, Jaden Ivey at 4. Shaden Sharp, still got him at 5 as well. I feel like in a redraft, could he fall to 6, 7, 8? Yeah, absolutely. but with Keegan, with Mathurin close behind, they're right there as well. I think Benedict Mathurin's going to be legit in the league. He's going to be box office. He's going to be a two-way wing like Kawhi Leonard with more athleticism, the same hunger, the same desire, the same toughness, and all of that. I love Benedict Mathurin as well. Now, if we can't get Jaden Ivey, he's my second trade up target, without a doubt. So we've got Jaden Ivey, Ben Mathurin as my second trade up target as well. New York Knicks do need that. He can play the three as well. So he'd fit nicely next to RJ, would Ben, I feel. Keegan Murray, not as high on him, but he's still got to be around there, around the 7 range. I think, Portland, if they are looking to either trade the pick or make a selection, I think Keegan Murray would come in and help them immediately. I feel like that's more of a nice fit for Portland. AJ Griffin, he's the wild card in this thing, ladies and gents. AJ Griffin, one of the best shooters in college, only 18, 19 years old, screaming with potential, concerns over his athleticism and with the injuries. But AJ Griffin could legit be one of the top five players in this class coming through. Then I got Dyson Daniels at 9 as well. I don't feel like he should be any higher than 8 or 9. I feel like that top 5 stuff is a little bit of a reach with Dyson. I get the intrigue, all-round kind of guy. Has potential still, has upside as well. I see him as more of a solid role player, that can kind of do it all. But yeah, no star upside for Dyson Daniels. I don't see any star upside, but I am high on him. In terms of affecting winning, just being that solid guy playing his role, off-ball handler, a secondary ball handler, one of the better defenders on any team as well. His offense does need to improve. I think his shooting's going to improve. I'm not worried about his shooting at all. But yeah, Dyson's just the kind of guy that's just going to come in and try to make teammates better. I don't see him coming in trying to take over a game that kind of way. But yeah, solid pick at 9. Johnny Davis, I feel like, in the 10th spot, I feel like, where he sits and his growth as well. He comes in there as one of the best shooting guards in the class, no doubt about it. Malachi Branham, another, I put him probably second next to AJ Griffin as one of the more intriguing guys, is Malachi Branham. Knocks, like Sherwin pointed out tonight, on his defense. I don't feel like it's too concerning. Let's say a guy like DeMar DeRozan, when he came out in the league, was anyone really talking about his defense? This is the NBA now. It's a different kind of league. So I feel like Malachi Branham's age, his upside, all of those things, the growth he showed towards the end of the season as well, he's extremely intriguing. Like I said earlier, Jonathan Wasserman has him at 11 in the mock draft, and he did hint that based on some kind of intel he's heard, I don't know how strongly he's heard anything, but let's be real. This is where things get really interesting. If the Knicks can't be successful trading up, then the 11th spot is where it's at. 7 or 11. I can't see them getting anywhere else. And then you start to consider trade down targets. And I know, based on our previous talks, I know a lot of you aren't too high on trade down targets as well. I wouldn't be mad at it because there's a heap of talent. But I'd also prefer to probably stay at 11, right? Just take the best guy at 11. And if Davis is there, if AJ Griffin or Davis, you have to strongly consider those two before anybody. Then in close second tier, Malachi Branham, Jalen Duren, Sohan, and Eason. And then possibly a trade down for a Jeng, Jaden Hardy, Mark Williams, just to kind of see if you can wheel and deal. I'm not a fan of taking a center and keeping the center, but I am a fan of drafting the center to help another team and then get more assets, if that's what makes sense. If you think about it, one team could easily view Jalen Duren as one of the top 8 guys in this draft. And if Jalen Duren falls to 11, one of these teams below us, Charlotte, OKC, somebody could really, really value Jalen Duren and give us a couple of enticing picks and players possibly. So that is a wild card for me to look out for on draft night, ladies and gents, is that the centers are a big wild card in this thing as well. There's only a handful of strong centers in the lottery, and a team that really, really wants one of them might be willing to pony up. So that is a mini position of power that the New York Knicks could find themselves in as well. I wouldn't be interested in taking Duran or Mark Williams to keep. I feel like if we lose Mitch, hopefully we keep him. But if we lose him, I feel like we can score another guy and we can keep rocking with Jericho. But what I find really enticing is if one of those two centers are there at 11, and let's say it's between, let's say Davis and AJ's off the board, Dyson's off the board, and it's Malachi, it's a couple of the wings in Eason and Sohan, or it's one of the big men, and we can get more assets, then that's something I'd seriously consider. What do you guys think about that? Or do you want us to take Mark Williams or Jalen Duren? Because I see their talent, I see the upside in those two gentlemen. You know, they could have a long career in this league, and I see other teams seeing their potential as well. In a class that's not strong with big men, those two shine and those two stand out, and that's where I think the New York Knicks could capitalize. And then we start to get into the trade down possibilities. Sohan, I feel like good enough. He's good enough to take at 11. I would heavily consider taking Sohan at 11 if the other guys are off the board. I would heavily consider taking Eason as well. But again, it's going to go back to how much they like those guys. How much have they seen them? How much have they heard intel-wise? When they interviewed them, when they worked them out, if they worked them out or at all. It's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to how much they like them when they saw them as well. But they're my thoughts, because I feel like Sohan and Eason fit really nice. They can guard the best wing. They have potential stretching the floor as well as a really solid 3-and-D guy. I know the sound of a role player doesn't entice people very much. Some of them would have a little bit more potential than a role player, I feel. But all-star potential is a bit of a stretch. So I could see them taking AJ, Dyson, Johnny Davis, and Malachi just based on a little bit more potential, I feel like, than Sohan and Eason. Now, Ousmane Dieng, even more intriguing. That's more of a reach. However, upside is there as a playmaking 6'10" wing. If his offense comes along, the playmaking is already at a really high level for Ousmane Dieng. Played in a professional league, NBL, down here last season. Ousmane Dieng is the third wild card for me in this draft. Again, AJ Griffin, Malachi Brand, and Ousmane Dieng are three wild cards for me, and the big men. Because Ousmane Dieng, I could see him going as high as 8 or 9. To be honest with you, I could see this thing being blown open and just been shaken up by none other than the San Antonio Spurs or the New Orleans Pelicans as well. I don't see Portland taking him. Obviously, if Portland draft, they're not selecting Ousmane Dieng, and I don't feel like they're more likely to trade their pick anyway as well. And then I'm high on Jaden Hardy as well at 16. Jaden Hardy got better and better in the G League Ignite throughout the season, played against pros. He's a bucket. He's just going to be a secondary ball handler on a team straight away. Needs to improve his handle a bit, but not great defensively. But at the same time, guys that can just go find you a bucket, they're a value in the league, right? And if he can continue to grow offensively, I could easily see him a 20-point per game plus scorer each and every night. So I'm fairly high on Jaden Hardy as well. And then we hit Mark Williams. Dalen Terry is a riser on my board, up to 18 now in this final board as well. His moxie, his attitude, his all-around game is impressing teams from what we're hearing. And Ochai Agbaji at 19, solid guy. I could see him fitting in with any team at 19, with the shooting, with the defense, winning the national championship. He's going to come in more ready-made out of a lot of prospects. Teams that are in the playoff picture, they're really going to benefit from getting a guy like Ochai Agbaji out here. And then when we start to get into the Kendall Brown, San Antonio second selection there, and then we have Ty Ty Washington as well. He's going to be probably picked around after 20, I feel, as well. He could go a bit higher, but he's definitely fallen as a result of his poorer play and injuries in the tournament. Jalen Williams coming up the board a bit. I could see him definitely being late lottery. Jalen Williams is another intriguing wild card in this thing as well. And Marjon Beauchamp, athletic wing that can defend. He's more of a defensive kind of prospect. But yeah, I could see him sliding in around that, in the mid to early 20s as well. And then we have EJ Liddell, Nikola Jovic, one of the more intriguing international prospects. Christian Koloko as well, another team that may need a center. We talk about Dallas needing another big man. Well, they swung that trade for Christian Wood. So let's see what happens. So yeah, this ain't based on any needs. This is just a big board as well. Team needs not considered. I'm going to do a mock draft. We'll chop that up tomorrow. But yeah, this is just my ranking of the talent, ladies and gents. But yeah, interesting draft. The time has come. The New York Knicks are on the clock. What do we do? What do I want the New York Knicks to do? I want the New York Knicks to go for it. To go for it. Put some assets in the middle of the table. See how high they can get. The fourth pick is out there. There's a strong possibility. Put picks in the table. Put one of Obi or Quickly if that's what it takes. Certainly not both of them. Maybe one of them. I like both of them. It's hard for me to even think about which one. I'll leave that up to the experts and you guys, but I'm definitely not parting with both of them. If it takes Deuce and Grimes to get it done, then I'm willing to put them in the middle of the table as well. And then, of course, you got the Burks, Noels, the expirings to get it done as well. So the 11th pick for me, the Dallas pick, one of Quickly or Obi. If they ask for Grimes or Deuce, that's as far as I'll be willing to go, and some veterans as well to get Jaden Ivey. If they ask for any more or we get outbid, then so be it. I'm not willing to give up any more than that. What do you guys think about that? Yep, Dirty Dancer says Christian Wood is a knucklehead, but I'd take him for those scrubs. Yeah, it was a decent trade in terms of the upside. And maybe Christian Wood just needs that new surrounding. Let's be real. Christian Wood, nobody really wants to be in a horrific situation like Houston are in terms of a veteran that Christian Wood is now. He wants to win. And Houston are building for the slow haul as well. And JJ, salute fam. I'm not even sold Ivy really a point guard. So, okay, so yeah, don't give up our own 2023 first rounder. That would be a mistake. Yeah, good point. I love that point. Just give up the Dallas selection next year. That's it. And it's going to be a weaker selection. So, yeah, I'm on board with that take as well. Yeah, salute Eric. What's good, fam? What's good? Real King. Yeah, all right, Tarek. And D Cool. Yep. Then they get mad when you call them out or don't agree. Yeah. Hey, guys are passionate. I appreciate everyone's passion as well. Everyone can have their takes as well. No disrespect to anyone. Some people see Ivy with point guard potential. Some don't. It's all up to you guys to decide what you will be willing to give up, to get that kind of guy. Me, he has to prove it. Of course, you can never anoint a player something before they've even come into the league. It's about whether you think they could grow into that role. Do you feel like they could get better and grow into that role? Like Quickly in his first year, to me, showed growth. Quickly in his second year, shown growth to be able to run the point. Run the point full time on a good team. We don't yet know, but to me, he's shown potential to be able to do that one day. So could Jaden Ivey come in here and be better at that as well? I feel like he could as well. But at the end of the day, the NBA is multi-positional. If Jaden Ivey comes in and let's say the Knicks put him at the point guard spot, he might not be the guy handling the rock for more than 25 minutes. RJ may bring the ball up some. Randall's going to have the ball some. Quickly's there as well. So, yeah, we got to be multi-positional. We got to be versatile up in this thing. So there are very, very few rare sort of true Chris Paul, Rajon Rondo type point guards anymore. John Wall, those kind of guys that handle the rock for 38 minutes. They're becoming more rare and rare out here. And Dirty says only the Kings are dumb enough to not take Ivy because they think he's a point guard when he's not. Yep. Well, I don't know if that's the real reason the Kings would be. Maybe that is, yeah. But I feel like the Kings' main MO is to make the playoffs, and they want more veteran help. Yep. I don't think the Kings interested in trading the 4th pick for a heap of more for a heap of more picks in terms of young players. I think they're going to want a veteran to come up here and help immediately. So the Julius Randle thing as well. Does he fall into that package? Does Julius Randle become a name that the Sacramento Kings and the Knicks talk about? So I would love that situation. Then it means we have to give up less picks and less young talent as well. Because I've given my thoughts on Randle, and I don't want to sell low on him, but I also want him gone. I want Julius Randle gone. I don't feel like he has the long-term future in New York anymore, based on what we've seen. Now, I do see them carrying him into opening night and then seeing what happens after that. But if there is a move that can be had on draft night or in free agency, yeah, I think the New York Knicks are definitely going to explore it. They're going to talk about everything. And Ashley Inc. 1, salute. I would give up Randall and next year's Dallas pick for Ivy or Mathurin. So, yep, I'm signing off on that, fam. Absolutely. Yep, that'd be nice. Get out of Randall. The Dallas pick, I'm okay with that. It's just an extra pick in the first place. So, yep, for Ivy or Mathurin, those are the 2 trade-up targets, ladies and gents. As you see, in the 7th spot, Mathurin's going to be around that range. The Keegan Murray situation with Indy and Portland, let's see. But if we obviously only make the trade if Mathurin's on the board, first and foremost. We call Portland and we say, if Mathurin's on the board, this is the trade for us two. So we don't miss out. And then, of course, yeah, Sacramento. The trade is for if Ivy's still on the board as well. If the Houston Rockets or the OKC Thunder take Ivy, that trade's killed. That trade's whack right there. So they're the only 2 dudes we trade up for. Now, Shaedon Sharp's the other intriguing one. The Kentucky ties with the Knicks. We would have intel, but let's be real. Shaedon Sharp's stock's fallen a little bit. He hasn't worked out a ton. He hasn't done the combine, any skills drills. It's been mainly 1v none workout videos as well. So does he have a promise? Is that why he's going so easy on it? That's going to be interesting to see. Shaedon Sharp, another huge mystery with this draft. The potential looks there. He looks smooth as silk with the ball in his hand, isolation, scoring, all of that stuff, like DeMar DeRozan type game, more athleticism. But yeah, it's a risk still. I mean, he hasn't played a lick of college. Like I said, no competitive workout drills, no scrimmages, all of that stuff. Like, as a GM, president, do you put yourself on that situation where you can get fired based on and passing up on some of these real nice prospects out of that situation? And Jarvis LaFleur in the building, fam. Salute, appreciate you. Let's get it as well. Yep, all the mod on mod violence. Hey, this is a great chat, passionate chat. I love it. I love you guys, and we're a week away from the NBA draft, right? If we weren't passionate and we weren't arguing and disagreeing on stuff, there'd be something wrong, right? There's a lot of different options out there, fam. There's a lot of different things to be done as well. I've said earlier too, I wouldn't be mad if Emmanuel Quickley is the starting point guard as well, and that goes into why I wouldn't give up the farm for the 4th pick as well. I would make a fair offer. I would do my best to try to get into that spot. But hey, the sky ain't falling if the Knicks can't get to that spot as well, because there are other options. There are other options. A good front office should be doing their due diligence. Now, the second option I would prefer, like I said, get into the 7th spot. Maybe it requires less assets to get into the 7th spot for Portland. They help out Damian Lillard. It's a win-win. And we could get Benedict Mathurin. Maybe the Knicks are a lot higher on AJ Griffin than people think. Dyson Daniels as well. Maybe that's a reason why the Knicks might want to get into the 7th spot. Maybe Shaden Sharp, like JJ says on the money. Sharp doing it on purpose so that he could fall to the Knicks. Maybe not to the Knicks, but maybe fall as much as possible. Remember, we all know the drafts. Remember, Michael Porter Jr. came in with top talent, had the injuries, and that's the main reason why he fell. But we've all seen really, really hyped up dudes fall. And Shaden Sharp, I could see him being the first dude to really fall. Let's look at it. Let's say Sack or whoever is in Sack spot pick Ivy. Then let's say Detroit. What do? Okay, they got Cade. They got a couple of other young, intriguing guys. Let's say they want a more sure thing. Let's say they go with Mathurin. Then let's say Indy want Keegan Murray. Then let's say New Orleans love AJ Griffin. Okay, well, Shaden Sharp's still there. Let's say the San Antonio Spurs love Dyson Daniels. Okay, then suddenly Shaden Sharp's still at 10. Maybe Washington, maybe he needs to fall one more spot. Or maybe the Knicks make a trade with Washington for Shaden Sharp. So yeah, Shaden Sharp is a dude that I could really see it. I could really see him slipping. But yeah, to P Nice point, I could also see Sharp falling it right in the safe hands of Detroit as well, because they're in a position where they can, take a chance. They got Cade, they got some building blocks. Shaden Sharp would fit nicely next to Cade as well, and maybe Sharp has sort of steered his way to a certain team as well. And like Real King says, Sharp is the mystery man for a reason, like Kobe as well. Yep, facts, right. And I've been saying this for forever and a day. If the New York Knicks Kentucky ties and intel doesn't help them in this situation, then what the hell? When is it going to help us? Right? They should know the most out of any team in relation to Shaden Sharp. Like that. That's just a fact, right? We have John Calipari. We have Worldwide West. I know Sharp didn't play at all, but we should know. We should know more than other teams. And some executives were in the gym too. So it ain't like they haven't seen Sharp, but they've only seen him, and unfortunately, pro day workout type situations, 1v none workouts and shit like that. So I feel like that, yeah, if they're willing to go out on a limb to take Sharp, then so be it. But for me, the sure things are Benedict, Jaden Ivey as well, Banchero and Jabari Smith as well. Now, I said earlier in the show, I see the intrigue with Chet. I see the upside. No Chet slander from me, but I'm just not. I just want nothing to do with one of those tall, skinny big men anymore. I just want to go with a safer bet, right? Maybe Victor Wembanyama next year. Maybe we can have that conversation, of course. But with Chet, I see the potential. I see the shooting. But for me, if I'm in the top 4, I'm not taking Chet, right? I take Paolo, Jabari, and Jaden Ivey before I take Chet. The situation the Knicks are in, we cannot miss. If you're an OKC, by all means, like you can afford to throw darts. You can afford to miss and still be okay. But for not for me, not for Chet. So you got Ivy, Mathurin, Keegan Murray. I'm not as high on as well for the Knicks as well. Not too high, not as high on Murray as I am with Sharp and Ivy and Mathurin. And then when we get to the 8-9, Griffin, Daniels, Davis, again, you get into the more lower floor, sort of higher floor, lower ceiling kind of guys, but guys that are going to help a team. And Ashley says Sharp is a high risk, high reward pick. So if we can move up and keep our 11th, then taking Mathurin and Sharp would be a huge win for this front office. Yeah, you said it. I agree. Whether or not they could see him fitting well on this team, it remains to be seen. Tom Thibodeau's still here, but Leon Rose needs to be calling the shots. Like Leon Rose and Walt Perrin, they're the guys that I feel like should be making the most have the most input in this situation, right? We know Tom's going to give his input and a Worldwide West, etc. But Walt Perrin's the guy. He's been doing this for decades, right? I trust his opinion, and I want Leon Rose. Yeah, whilst I don't fully trust his opinion, he's the president, right? I don't want him to be swayed too much, right? At the end of the day, he's the man in the chair, right? He's his own man. He should be calling the shots, right? His legacy as a president should ride and die with his selection and who he really likes. He really wanted Obi. Obi was his guy, and he got Obi, right? And it doesn't look like a bad pick at all. So, in my opinion, it should be Walt Perrin and it should be Leon Rose, the two guys, trusting their gut, trusting their instincts with this thing. And Tarek says, Sharp at 11 is a gamble. I would take. I'm not going to lie. But any team from 1 to 10, I wouldn't do because this kid is too big of a gamble. As well, I like that honesty. Appreciate that, Tarek, as well. Yeah, good take. It is a gamble. And like I said earlier, it depends on which team is in what situation, right? We can all admit there are teams in a more safer position with future picks or with less pressure on them, a smaller market, smaller fan base. They can continue to find themselves in the lottery every week, every day. And fans aren't going to grill the team. The president's not going to be fired. But truth be told, this is the Mecca. This is like no place on earth. We've got James Dolan. We've got MSG. We've got the most passionate fan base. We've got more beat writers than some teams have, in staff. We got, the media capital. We got all of that stuff, right? There's pressure from all angles. And the New York Knicks have future assets and that, but we're in a situation where we're still treading a treadmill. We're not yet moving back. We're not yet moving forward at a steady rate. We're stuck in neutral right now. We need to move. Whoever we take, it needs to move us forward as a franchise, move us forward as an organization, right? Whether now or be it in the future. Well, and like you said, Sharp is a gamble, but I would take it at 11, absolutely. I would really heavily consider 7. If we were to trade with Portland, let's say Mathurin and Keegan Murray were off the board, but Sharp was there at 7, and it only cost us the 11th pick, the Dallas pick, maybe Grimes and some veterans, or Julius, of course, with Portland. With Julius Randle, sign me up. Well, that'd be a gamble I'd be willing to take as well. Salute to the chat out here. Everyone buzzing. What's good? Less than a week away. We've chopped up my big board as well. I want to touch a little bit on Mitchell Robinson as well, because I said earlier in the good, out of the good, the bad, the ugly, we can't lose Mitch for nothing, right? What happens after this draft? Does this draft tell us a little bit more about what's happening with Mitchell Robinson? And I gave my thoughts. I don't want the Knicks to draft a big man to keep the big man. If we draft the big man to trade down and get more assets from another team, that's okay. But first and foremost should be to sign and trade or to sign Mitch, to keep him around. Don't lose that asset for nothing. Worry about the money thing later, right? We don't have to pay RJ and we don't have to pay Cam Reddish until another 12 more months. So figure the rest out later, right? Sign Mitch, figure the rest out later, right? Offer him the most he can make. If it comes down to a bidding war and one team like Detroit is offering Mitch, a few milli more a year, the New York Knicks do need to pony up, right? We can't lose that man for nothing, right? He's been here. We drafted him. We developed him. All of that stuff. Now, with that said, there are some intriguing centers in this draft as well. With outside of Mark Williams, Duran, we got Christian Koloko, who I have there at the 26th spot as well. I feel like he could find himself a nice home as a nice big man potential. We have obviously Kai Soto, which is more of a second round. I feel like he's going to be more in the second round prospect. A more raw project as well, but needs to put on some extra weight. But the shooting is intriguing as well at a low risk move as well. The New York Knicks are great at these low risk moves. They've done it in the past, right? They've done it with Jericho Sims. That was a hit with that. I'm not going to say a home run, but we hit a double with Jericho Sims at the 58th pick as well. It could become a home run. Absolutely. The man's has potential, right? Jericho Sims, I'm glad he's a New York Knick. But yeah, those kind of moves, I'm keen to see if the New York Knicks continue that tradition as well. And with that said, let's pivot to the 42nd pick. We'll talk about this more in the next show with a mock draft. But with the 42nd pick, that's a legit opportunity to get a solid player. This draft is deep. We see the first round today, but the second round is going to be full of guys that can help teams out. Jean Montero, point guard, could fall. Maybe a guy like Kennedy Chandler falls. J.D. Davison in the second round as well. Hugo Besson is a guy I really like at 6'6". Good size, a scoring combo guard. Has a bit of pizzazz with his game. Has a bit of flash as well. Can light it up as well. I think he would be a nice steal at 42 as well. So the 42 pick, we might have to package that as well to help move up. I'll be all for that. But if we are selecting at 42, I feel like the New York Knicks are going to get a solid player, like no lie. And a New Yorker, what's good, fam? Jalen Williams or Agbaji for me. So, yep, I like those names too. Let's talk a bit about those two because, like I said, Jalen Williams is moving up the board. I've got him at 22 on my big board, but there's talk that he's could be late lottery, right? He's a huge riser up in this piece right now. Imagine if he fell to Memphis at 22. That'd be a nice steal for them. And of course, look, Agbaji. I could see the New York Knicks heavily considering Agbaji, and I would not be mad, but for a trade down situation as well. But then again, we go back to that situation Tarek brought up with the log jam, and a lot of other fans have talked about. We have Grimes. Like, when are we going to continue to stop stunting the growth of current players as well, and let them just see what they've got? Could Agbaji become a better prospect, or could he be a better prospect than Grimes? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we just continue to create log jams with that piece. And Deuce McBride too. I want to see him get more burn. But yeah, Agbaji is fascinating. Like he could go as high as 10. He could go as high as 10 or 11. I could see Washington taking Agbaji to slide right next to Bradley Beal as a shooting defender as well. They need shooters up in that piece as well. And yeah, exactly like New Yorker said, Charlotte might want Duran at 11, and we can help them. Yep, that is the number one leverage perspective that the New York Knicks could find themselves in on this draft night at 11. Let's say a dude like Shaedon Sharpe does fall to 10 or 11, Jalen Duran, AJ Griffin. Those guys have enough intriguing upside where any team in the late teens is going to want to try to get their hands on them as well. So yeah, great take. Great point with that situation. Yeah, the draft can't come forward fast enough. Real king. Absolutely, fam, on the money, right? We're all going to be sitting here hyped next week. Let's hope they don't disappoint. And the Public Enemy up in the house. It's like 3 Jalen Williams in the draft. Jalen Williams. P. Nice, Lofton Jr. as well. Hey, I'm learning more and more about this draft, man, with all this knowledge as well. Some Kai Soto fan up in the house. Yep, a lot of fans all over worldwide. International prospect as well. Go, go, go. One thing I can say is that Kai Soto in New York would be huge for the market. Would be huge. We all know with the situation of the previous international players on the New York Knicks, the support is just phenomenal for Kai Soto as well. And I hope he finds himself in the league. I hope he gets drafted and he finds himself the right team. So yeah, Manchild, great point. Agbaji is 22, right? He better come in and be ready to produce. And I think he will. Yep, AJ Griffin at 11, a solid selection. Almighty finesse. What's happening with those medicals? Like I touched on earlier, Jonathan Wasserman, based on some intel, has him sliding to 12, past the New York Knicks even. He has Malachi Branham ahead of him. And in terms of we talked about what's real in terms of the reports and the smoke. Now, I'll give my take on what we should sort of look out for in terms of trying to predict this crazy draft. What I look out for is what teams have done in the past. Look at trends. Look at teams' tendencies. Do they draft long wing players? We know Orlando loves size. Pause. We know Toronto loves size. Pause. We know what the New York Knicks have done. There's been a trend. Could they buck that trend? Of course, but when we're trying to predict this thing, let's look at what teams have had a tendency to do. And with that said, the New York Knicks love players that have great character, great work ethic. We've seen it with the identity we're developing with Grimes, Deuce, Quickly, Obi, RJ, Sims. They're gym rats. There's very credible reports that say Malachi Branham is one of the highest character guys in this draft. I've seen him interview briefly, and he came across, to me as a really, really nice dude. Down to earth, tells it like it is, confident, quietly confident as well. So, could what Jonathan Wasserman's hearing, could the New York Knicks, could Malachi Branham be one guy that they are slightly higher on than some of these other guys? I could really see that based on trends of what the New York Knicks have been doing in the past in terms of looking at those guys. And he sort of fits that mold where he's got a little bit of upside, or maybe not a little bit, but he has significant upside, as well as we sort of know what his floor might be coming into the league. That's very rare for a 19-year-old as well. That is very rare. And Lucas, Eureka, salute Ivy only. Yep, I can get behind that all day, every day. We chopped up some packages, but I don't want the New York Knicks to part with too many young pieces. There's smoke. There's reports that Sacramento are in talks with 4 teams. Well, of course they're in talks. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of teams are going to be trying to get their hands on that. There's going to be competition. Absolutely, it's going to be competition for Ivy and what Sacramento. They're going to be pitting New York Knicks against the highest bidder with that situation, and to see who wants Jaden Ivey the most. And it could come down to, do the New York Knicks just try to have to make that smarter decision to play it safer? And New Yorkers point, Charlotte 15, 13, that would be the goal for a lot of fans as well. Yep, I could see that. You could get 2 quality prospects. You could get a big man and a wing with that New Yorker as well. That's one in my top sort of 3-4 scenarios on draft night. So keep an eye out for that. Almighty says trade up for Ivy or AJ at 11. That's all I'm asking for. Yep. Trade up for Ivy or take AJ Griffin at 11. That's all I'm asking for. Yep. Look, 2 situations that could very well come to fruition. However, I don't know if it's going to be that straightforward. There's going to be talks. There's going to be maneuvering. There's going to be some shockers in the top 10, like I've been saying. Could Keegan Murray, could Keegan Murray be a guy that just slips for some reason? Could Dyson Daniels be on the board at 11? We haven't talked about that possibility as well. And Agbaji played with Grimes. That's interesting. 19 com man. Right, yep. Appreciate that, Jewel. And Alondes Williams, man-child as well. Quality prospect, more likely in the second round. But yeah, the 42 pick as well. The New York Knicks can play chess, not checkers, with that situation. Yep, wings get play. Yeah, in this league. Yep, Kai is our idol. Yep, I appreciate that. I understand that. I understand. I know where it's at. I know the pride people have, and a huge basketball nation. And this game is truly global. It's one of the bigger reasons I love basketball so much as well. And Sharon, what have you got? Knicks must trade this draft pick for a star point or star small forward. The pick with Obi IQ and the Dallas pick for an all-star point guard. All-star point guards don't grow on trees, but hell yeah, they should be looking to trade for one if one becomes available. Look, Shea Gilgeous, what happens with OKC? This draft is going to be pivotal for OKC. Look at all the picks they've got. They only got so many roster spots, ladies and gents. What the hell do OKC do is going to be one of the most fascinating things. Sam Presti is a genius too. I give him his flowers. Well, what does he make out of this situation? Talk about a team in a strong position. They can take all the whiffs and stabs that they can possibly take. I could see them trying to get Chet. And then what do they do with the other picks? What do they do with Trey Mann, with Shea Gildress? One of these dudes is going to shake loose. To Sherwin's point, at some point in time, they're going to shake loose. San Antonio is intriguing too. DeJounte Murray. So is he their building block? Or, maybe not. I don't know what other star point guards become available. Colin Sexton's going to be available, I feel. I don't yet put him in the star category. But yeah, the point guard spot, we continue to talk about it. Is this the year? Is this the draft that they finally, sort that situation out? JJ's on point. Charlotte is desperate for center to get 13 and 15 would be nice. Seems real pricey just to move up a couple of spots though. Well, yeah, look, yeah, that is fair. From 13 to 15 just to up to 11. It's going to be obviously a few other pieces too, JJ. I feel like and look, that's why I never get married to any young players. I love the New York Knicks' current young crop, but if it's going to take a Deuce or Grimes to make some more moves, then we're going to obviously seriously consider that. I feel as well, and Grimes has got huge potential. I feel, as a third ball handler, a wing defender, lights out shooter as well. And I hate parting with players on a rookie contract, right? You're playing with house money with a player on a rookie contract, right? They can develop and you're paying them hardly anything. Like the salary cap's going up. When you've got quality rotation talent on a rookie scale contract, that's playing with house money. That's how Golden State was able to build a dynasty. And because Steph Curry's secondary contract as well was a bargain basement extension as well. JJ Griffin fits well next to RJ, great off the ball, 45% from three. That is crazy. Yep, that is absolutely crazy at his age, right? Talk about out of any of these prospects, the translatable skill set. AJ Griffin, that's going to get him drafted in the top 11 if his medicals and all of that. No two red flag. AJ Griffin will absolutely be taken in the top. Will be taken in the top 11. Phil, trade for Andrew Wiggins if he's available. Yeah, we should look into it. But like we touched on a little bit earlier, that the trade talk is that obviously a lot of talks centered around Nerlens Noel. That ain't any surprise. That ain't any surprise with Nerlens Noel. It's an expiring deal. We might actually be able to seriously get out of Nerlens Noel with a favorable deal. Talking about favorable, not just getting out of Nerlens for anything, for just to see what we can get for an expiring. But yeah, his 11 mil is a sweet spot in terms of value. In terms of teams, we might have to take on a player of a similar value for more years if it can get us higher in the draft as well. D course Kai Soto if he goes undrafted to the Lakers or the Clippers. So yeah, huge markets out there. Possibly in the San Fran market as well. Sharon, the Knicks must trade the pick for a star point as well. Yep, we've gone through that as well. Yeah, I know your thoughts on that situation. Like Jarvis, I love DeJounte and Shea. I'll be happy with either one. But yeah, I'll be cool with Sexton, like Almighty says as well. But I don't see DeJounte and Shea available right yet. Possibly in the future, coming up, I could see it getting to that point. And Mayfield, the permutations of your statistics will not suffice. And JT Riddick, we need to develop our own talent. Yep, absolutely agree with that. Soto is a second rounder. Wouldn't be mad if we got him. Yep, absolutely facts, right? Taking those flyers on a big man later in the draft, I'm all for that. Just not with the top 11 pick. Yep, absolutely. Congrats, Golden State. But yeah, it does make me sick to see the same teams win over and over and over and over, right? I know it's a reward for doing things the right way, but man, it's just depressing. for me. Seeing Golden State win again, I really wanted Boston to win it. I don't think Soto's any savior, but a guy with upside. Let's see what he can do. Tarex has found out Ivy patterns his game after Ja. I could see that. My first thought when I saw him play, the similarities are pretty evident. There could be obviously slightly different players. I think Ivy's shot might be better in the long run, might even be better than Ja Morant's. Ja Morant's athleticism, though, that's on a whole nother level. Yeah, and a New Yorker's on point. Ryan Rollins with that 42 pick. I think I saw Tankathon yesterday had Ryan Rollins, projected to the 42nd with the Knicks. That'd be a nice fit. He's a worthy first round talent. And it's me. Teams can call all they want. The CAA client has to make it be known he's in the mafia. This is your moment, Leon. Your moment to shine. Yep. High expectations for Leon Rose, right? Could he hit a home run for us as well? That may change a lot of people's opinions on this thing, right? We all know he's keeping his friend Tom Thibodeau around, but that may just be to keep the seat warm for another year or two. And P. Nice is confident that Sacramento Kings are going to trade the 4th pick. So let's hope. I would love that situation for both teams. Like I said, it could be an ultimate win-win for Sac to get closer to making the playoffs in the West. They got a logjam with young talent. Fox, Davion Mitchell, Sabonis. It's Vivek. I can understand his positioning. Yep, Real King. Yep, that's fire. Shout out. Philippines worldwide. And Dirty says we will get a real good player if someone reaches for Duran or Sohan. Yep, that's what it's all about. The rises and the fallers. That's the good in terms of this draft, ladies and gents. It's in the eye of the beholder with certain teams. And one of my biggest shockers could be the San Antonio Spurs at 9 taking Ousmane Dieng as well. And maybe it's the right selection. Ousmane Dieng has incredible upside talent. Like maybe they worked him out and they just feel he's the best guy. That's the beauty of this thing, right? Whoever you feel is the best guy, the team's going to take. All these mocks and that, they're all based on team media's intel that they have, but mostly their own thoughts and things like that, their own feelings towards that situation. Like we might be just absolutely blown away. We have been blown away. Josh Giddey, 6. Joshua Primo with San Antonio with all of that situation. And 19, I like that. Branham is like Crawford without the handles. Facts, very, very similar games. Frame, slender, slithery shooting guard, can get into tight spots, can rise up and shoot in the blink of an eye, right? He could release the ball so quickly with that. Yep. Frankly, I don't give the damn about character. I want b-ball skills. Yep. Hey, I understand where you're at, Sherwin. I'm just trying to say where the New York Knicks thinking might be lying. At the end of the day, these are a franchise, an NBA franchise is an employer, right? You want to employ employees that are good characters at the end of the day, right? Look what happens with malcontents. Look what happens with what happened with Houston and Christian Wood, right? They traded for him or they got him because they believed in his talent. Then they had to trade him because he wasn't fitting in. He wasn't fitting in the locker room as well. We need to remember basketball is a team sport. You have 15 guys that share the same locker room, right? Anyone that's lived with someone that they didn't get along with or lived with someone they can't stand, right? It gets worse and worse as days go by when you're trying to live with somebody that doesn't fit with that situation. So you do need to mesh personalities. If you already have 9 guys under contract, I understand the talent argument, but you can't upset the current locker room as well. Otherwise, you're in a situation where you got to make more moves. And Branham had amazing efficiency this year, which we clearly need. Way too many 40% shooters here. It's brutal. Yep. To me, it's the upside too, JJ, for Branham. Like you said, efficiency, but 19 years of age. You got to think he's got, at this age, if he's this efficient and this, flashing this kind of potential, that he's just going to get better and better with the work ethic. Like I said earlier, I'm not worried about Branham's D too much. When you're drafting at 11, if we suspect the Knicks drafted 11, you can't really pass up on that kind of upside and that kind of talent. An example I used before, who was talking about DeMar DeRozan's D when he was coming into the league, right? A scorer is a scorer at the end of the day, right? You figure the rest out later. You get other wing defenders to help things out with that situation. Yep. So the buzz is there for Ivy. Lucas is on board with that. Ashley, no matter who we get, the blockade is still there. It's called Tibbs. Yep, I feel you, but I don't know for how long. Right? I know people want Tibbs gone. Some people do want Tibbs gone ASAP, but at the end of the day, I think Tibbs ain't going to be here long term. I don't see him finishing his 5-year deal as well. And Tarek, putting it out there. Jaden Ivey's 6'4". It's official. And D Cool, it's reported that the Knicks were trying to get to the 7th for Portland. That means Kings wasn't giving up the 4th pick for scraps. Knicks was selling. There's heaps of smoke. There's still a week to go. I feel like the Sacramento Kings just leaked that stuff out to let the media do their work for them. Let all these projections, these trades and stuff come out into the wilderness, and then they can make their decision, in terms of what value they could get for the 4th. But maybe they're not all the way in on trading the 4th yet. And character breeds hard workers at their craft. Ivy don't look that small, but if you say Sherwin, I could understand the argument that people want size. They want 5'6'9" guys, but at the end of the day, you got to be flexible. You got to be flexible. You got to find fits. That's what I love about this game, and the more strategic side of the game. Building a team like Golden State, making moves, fitting pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle. Right? There's just full of talent, right? But let's see these executives work their magic and get things right on draft night. It's going to be lit, like P. Nice says. Absolutely. Look, Boston's the divisional rivals. I wouldn't support them. Look, it was tough. Like in any normal circumstance, I don't want Boston to win nothing. But the fan in me just wants a new champion, crowned for their rewards as well. I just feel, this is just me personally, I just feel sick seeing Golden State win again and again. To me, I know Steph Curry is one of the greatest of all time. The organization did things the right way. All of that stuff. I just feel like they had their dynasty, and it's continuing again and again. And it makes things even more tough to swallow on this side for me. And Portland's definitely that possibility, man. Dame Lillard, I've seen him talk recently in that he sat on the dais. That's a really, really nice subliminal too. Portland putting Dame on the dais, that was a move to tell everybody, hey, Dame's our guy. He's loyal. He's a Portland Trailblazer for life, right? Listen to us. He's a Portland Trailblazer for life. So with that said, we're going to do whatever he wants us to do, right? Well, they were hoping to get the first pick and then trade it. So, I could see the Portland Trailblazers 80%. I'll put it 80%. They'll trade that pick as well. I don't see anyone that Portland can draft at 7 that's going to appease Damian Lillard. So I just don't see that. That 7th pick is going to get them at least Julius Randle. It's going to at least get him Jeremy Grant, and more, and pieces possibly as well. So, look out for that. If the Knicks can't get Ivy, the 7th selection as well. And Lara, salute, fam. Rokas, is a point. His highlights this season looks draft lottery worthy. We shouldn't be at wit's end when it comes to the point. So I like your points there, Lars. And in terms of Rokas, he's going to obviously stay in Europe another year. Let's hope he comes for summer league. So that'll be nice to see how much Rokas has grown as a player in the last 12 months. And I'd love to see him play next to Deuce and Sims and whoever else we draft. But yeah, Rokas is going to slow cook in Europe for at least another year. So I'm okay with that. And yeah, Charlotte's making moves, facts, right? With the hiring of Kenny Atkinson, right? With that situation, it's going to be amazing to see that him with that young kind of talent, like LaMelo Ball, is going to become the next all-star. So, yep, let's get out of Nerlens Noel, real king, yeah, in a heartbeat. Yeah, we have to, and yeah, I'm really actually really pleasantly surprised that there's reports that the Knicks are heavily discussing Nerlens Noel with a lot of teams, because I felt like those teams, no one would be interested. I feel like he would just be an expiring. Well, so yeah, could it be a part of a bigger package? It could be as well. So that's interesting, and that's something better to watch. I think on draft night, I could definitely see Nerlens Noel gone. And Tom from Huntington, salute. What's good? According to No Ceilings, Branham's defense is atrocious. So not sure Tibbs would be okay with that. Yeah. Um, I haven't actually heard those guys say Branham's D is atrocious, but yeah, I might have missed that one. I've got to look it up. But yeah, respect to the No Ceilings, the team out there. Yeah, we had Tyler Rucker on the show, and they're doing amazing work. But yeah, the knocks are on Branham's D. I've seen some plenty of highlights and scouting reports on his D. To me, it looks like he gets lost off the ball mostly. He doesn't look like a bad on-ball defender, if I'm being real. He's got length. His motor don't look great, but his motor don't look too bad either. It don't look like Kevin Knox type level as well. So maybe was he on a situation where he was tasked to score for his team so much that maybe he didn't focus on defensive assignments. I'll stick to what I said earlier. For me, for Brand, I'm not too worried about his D as well. Me personally, I'm not too worried about it. As a value pick at 11, it's still a pick that I heavily consider. D or not, just his versatility, his ability to score in tight spots. That's something the New York Knicks do need to be more efficient in the mid-range scoring, bucket getters as well. We seem to have to work so hard just to score at times. Julius Randle, we need all 22 seconds of the clock to score most of the time in Tom Thibodeau's offense. And going back to Tom's point about Tom Thibodeau as well, I don't want Tom Thibodeau calling any of the shots at all. Now he's more than likely going to put in his 2 cents to Leon and say, I don't want this guy. But what has me a bit more positive about the situation is that Tom Thibodeau wasn't on board with Cam Reddish move. He was not on board with that. But what did Leon Rose and co do? They made that move regardless. So I love that. Regardless of what the coach wanted or didn't want, what he said, Leon Rose swung that move for Cam Reddish as well. So I like that. And I hope that they will draft a player that they want more than what Tom Thibodeau wants. Leon Rose is young, right? He could be a president till he's 85, 90. Tom Thibodeau can't coach that long. He can't be around that long. So if Leon Rose is truly a smart man, he's going to run this organization, run this team for his vision, his long-term goal, which is to try and be president for 20, 25 years, right? Tom Thibodeau is not going to coach for more than 5 years, probably with this team at most. So Leon Rose and Walt Perrin should be the ones running this thing, right? They should be the ones running this thing, not listening to the coach who might just be here for a couple of years. And H Money in the house. Branham D is worse than Kemba's as well. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people rip Malachi's D. Almighty, yeah, I've got to look more into that as well. But yeah, based on what I've seen, I'm not too concerned about it. I feel like there are worse defenders. Like in terms of that argument, Jaden Hardy. Yeah, you could definitely make that argument for Jaden Hardy, a guy who's 6'3", 6'4", is a known as a microwave kind of scorer, and he's undersized. Malachi Branham at his size and length, I'm not too worried about his D. I mean, remember we hyped up the D of Frank Ntilikina, but he couldn't really provide that defensive situation for long enough while he was on the court. So for me, it's like, let's just take that flyer on Malachi Branham's offense and his upside, and deal with the warts later. I feel, yeah, Real King, appreciate you and everyone out here. I love this conversation with everybody. The knowledge being spit, helps me learn more and grow. And JJ does like the fit for Branham and Griffin here better than Johnny Davis. Yep. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't touched much on Johnny Davis, but again, I wouldn't be mad with him at 11. Lesser, higher upside, I feel, but a guy who's going to come in and help this team. He's definitely going to come in and help this team straight away. In terms of his motor, his defense, his will, he'll fit right in this locker room, man. And I could see Tom Thibodeau absolutely in love with Johnny Davis. If Tom Thibodeau has more input than we think, then yeah, look out for Johnny Davis. Yeah, Sherwin not happy with my thoughts about Randall for the 7th pick. Yep, that's to be expected. I understand your thoughts in that, and I'm not saying it's just for the 7th pick, obviously, but I do feel, like I said earlier, Randall's coming into training camp most likely. I feel like Julius Randall's going to come into training camp, and Rokas is also huge. You can pair him with a smaller guard if needed. Yeah, good size, good frame, and Kareem, salute brother. That's good. What's good? Appreciate you. Yeah, Almighty, I feel you. Same thing. I'm tired of seeing the Warriors. I just am. You're talking about a team that finished worst in the league 2 years ago just because Steph Curry was out injured and Klay Thompson was out injured. 2 years later, they're the champions again. Right, weak league, weak NBA right now. I'm sick of it. Right, I want to see a new title. I want to see a new team. Right, I'm done with this. Right, Adam Silver, fix this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And D Public, the professional tailor, he knows everyone's measurements. Showing them. I can't see the pick at 11 that would have me bothered, says JJ. I love that positivity. What are your thoughts on the trade down? Now, like I touched on earlier, ladies and gents, there are more people in favor of a trade down than I thought, but there are certainly people that are sick of trading down, right? But you have to admit, a trade down for this draft makes more sense than any previous draft, right? If you ever can stomach a trade down, you have to admit that this is the draft that makes sense for a trade down, does it not? Whether you want to trade down or not, you have to admit it makes more sense. Like I said, all these mocks that had Mark Williams at 11, like I'm not going to be happy with that move. If the New York Knicks draft Mark Williams to keep Mark Williams, like I'm not falling asleep at night with taking Mark Williams at 11 or Jalen Duren. But if we're drafting them to trade down, I can live with that. I can absolutely live with that because that's a situation where we could find more leverage. We're trying to build like Golden State's done, make smart moves. I know we want Ivy, we want Mathurin, we want these guys, and I think the Knicks are going to try. The front office is on the clock, but I don't think that it's a bad decision trading down if we can get more, put ourselves in a more position of power. But yeah, Michael's on point. We need dogs up in here. We need animals. We need guys that's going to fight each and every night. Rep this city, right? That's one of the things that had me the most frustrated about Julius. I could live with a player having a down year. I could live with them having a bad shooting year. All of those things that he regressed in. But the thing that shocked me the most was that he regressed in effort. It looked like he regressed in hunger. All of those things, right? That's not going to fly with the fan base. That's just not right. We've seen our fair share of dudes come into New York, take money, and fly off somewhere else, right? Guys play half injured, all of those kinds of things. Say what the fans want to hear. They want to play in the Mecca, they want to do all of this stuff. Really, what they want is just the spotlight, and then they want to parlay that into another deal. Yeah, and Golden State got lucky with 3 lottery picks in the 2020 draft. That's crazy, right? Yet some of them haven't even shown nothing yet. Wiseman, Kuminga is still growing. And Almighty Finesse, good question. Branham is 6'6". Yep. Malachi Branham, 6'5" and some, 6'5" and change, or 6'6", but with a decent wingspan. I believe his wingspan 6'10", along those lines as well. So again, I don't feel like he's going to be a horrible defender. I mean, we live with a lot of dudes that we live with Kemba Walker. Like Malachi Branham's not going to be the dude guarding the best wings. That's still going to be RJ or Reddish with more size. New York, I love Davis, but I would not cry with Agbaji or Jalen Williams. Yep. New Yorker on point. Yep. More trade down scenarios for me, fam, with that situation. But yeah, that just reeks of the value in this draft as well. Yeah, and I know Tarek is expressed, yet he'd be pissed if we did trade back as well. Yeah, would you be more pissed? Would you be pissed still if you knew we tried to trade up, but we just couldn't? And then what are the options after that? You know, the New York Knicks might just be playing their due diligence and just to see whatever situation they can get. And yeah, like Dirty says, the talent is super flat. 11 to 18, it is. It's super flat. And Dieng wouldn't bother me either. Yeah, high upside, nice prospect. Really, really grew in the NBL, like further into the season. That's what had me more excited about Dieng, fam. Yeah, in terms of his playmaking, his 6'10" size. You know, he could be just an amazing prospect if everything clicks. And that's why I said earlier I could see Ousmane Dieng falling to 8 or 9, New Orleans. I know they've got Brandon Ingram, San Antonio, most likely, sorry. Yeah, at the 9 spot for Ousmane Dieng. That's my sneaky prediction for draft night, is to look out for a team to take that flyer on Dieng as well. Yeah, Adam Silver sold out to the tech companies. Facts, right? Absolutely. Randall staying, yep, I could see that. Like P. Nice said, let's give him another half a year at least to see what kind of situation he comes back in, what kind of shape. Look, with Tibbs here, I could see him fighting tooth and nail to keep Randall as well. And it's me putting the thoughts out there. I'm starting to think Agbaji over Davis. You know. Agbaji 22, those are the knocks. But yeah, he can come in and he can produce in the NBA. He's going to find himself on a nice situation, Agbaji. Imagine if he falls to Chicago, Mini, the Spurs, Denver, around the 18 to 21 range. The later he goes, the better team he's probably going to fall on as well. And the Blazers' plan makes no sense. Even with a vet, the West will have 5 teams better than them. Yep. You're preaching to the choir, Dirty Dancer, as well. But you know they're just doing it based on loyalty. Like that's all. It's blind loyalty. It's blind love with Dame Lillard right now. Right, he's their franchise history's #1 guy. Basically, I mean, no disrespect to Clyde Drexler, but I think that he's probably going to go down as the best trailblazer, and I think they just want to do him right. Right, it makes no sense for the long term. And Tarek says I'd take Griffin over Branham and Davis. No more shooting guards, and we need a dependable, proper small forward. Yeah, AJ Griffin. Yeah, I could get on board with that in terms of just overall upside talent. Yeah, AJ Griffin. I could see Tom Thibodeau loving AJ Griffin ahead of that too. Everybody loves shooters. Everybody loves makers as well. If the medicals check out, the talk is that AJ Griffin wouldn't slide past the Knicks at 11, according to Jonathan Wasserman, is what he said. And I feel we fine at the wing, center at 11. We'll have a good chance at playing time if Mitch is gone. Yep. Yeah, like JJ said, yeah, I'm okay with building slower at the center spot. We got Sims. He'll play Obi or Randall at the 5 a bit, and also draft a guy in the second round if you want another big man, or keep Nerlens for one more year and see what happens. But the priority should be to sign Mitchell Robinson, not lose him for nothing, right? Keep Mitch in the house, worry about the rest later, right? We don't have to pay RJ and Cam for 12 more months. So just kick the can down the road and keep him in house, right? Don't lose him for nothing. And New Yorker wants Jalen Williams at 11 if that's all we do. Well, yeah, he's rising and rising. If he got to 11, that would surprise me. I'm not sure if he's that high, but I could still see that happening as a surprise move. Well, there's always a surprise move. Teams in love with a guy more than what people think as well. The Spurs believed in their guy with Josh Primo. OKC believed in Josh Giddey as well. So, yep, we could see it. Yeah, and Cam sat on the bench upset. Yep, that he did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it depends how costly, like JJ said as well. Yeah, we're not trying to be like Sacramento. Yeah, on point. Huge logjam, no plan, don't know what they're doing right now. There's a reason why Ivy, if they are exploring trade talks, is because they don't feel like he's going to fit into what they've got. Fox, Davion Mitchell. Who else have they got? I keep forgetting. They traded Buddy Hield, didn't they? Remind me who else Sacramento have got. I know they've got Sabonis. But yeah, Jalen Williams. Yep, very, very underrated, sneaky, nice, climbing up the board each and every day. And Agbaji, Tarek feels is better than Davis, but neither is good fit for the Knicks, only because there's a logjam. And if we do get them, then call us Sacramento East. Well, yeah, the logjam we see right now is what we have right now. But I do feel like they're going to clean some stuff up. They're going to absolutely trade Alec Burks. There's talk they're trying to move Evan Fournier. Quentin Grimes could be part of a deal to try to move up. Maybe Cam's their guy that they really want to build around. So I could see them, and they need to clear this logjam of shooting guards. Absolutely, even as currently constructed, Quentin Grimes ain't getting enough minutes for me. He needs more minutes. And with Evan Fournier, with Alec Burks here, we all know that Quentin Grimes isn't going to get the minutes that I want him to get. So with that said, Leon Rose has got work to do. Draft free agency, start doing stuff, start making moves as well. And I do hope they clean up the draft coverage in terms of they announced that a team made a selection, and then 30 minutes later they announced that pick was traded. ESPN, get on your game as well. I want to enjoy this draft coverage as well. I don't want to have to keep watching the coverage and then keep checking Twitter to check who's been traded immediately and things like that, right? Last time they were so delayed when the New York Knicks did that trade for Quentin Grimes. They kept saying it was OKC's pick, etc. And Jarvis, I like Dame, but Mr. Drexler may have an argument here. He was an elite shooting guard that led Portland to multiple finals appearances and winning seasons. You're preaching to the choir as well, Jarvis, as well. I think it's a prisoner of the moment kind of thing. Clyde Drexler was a legend as well. But these young players, they have so much power in the league now, right? It's insane. And salute. We can't just have a bunch of 6'5" guys, right? Yep, we need a bit more length up in there as well. That's what has me somewhat limited on Quentin Grimes' star potential or all-star potential. Quentin Grimes is nice, but 6'5", I hope he was 6'6". I hope he was 6'7". Then we'd be really cooking with something. I feel like Quentin Grimes is slightly undersized for the 3 spot as well. Yeah, Jalen Williams reminds me of Clyde Smooth, says New Yorker up in here as well. Yeah, he seems to be the riser up in here in this Streets of Buzzing chat is Jalen Williams as well. How high do you think he could get? Put your thoughts in the chat. What number do you think would be the highest that you could see Jalen Williams going as well, and we can play that game. So with that said, I'll tell you what as high as I think some guys could go. Dyson Daniels, I don't buy the top 5 hype. I just don't. Could I see him go as high as 7, 6? Yeah, I could see him go to Indy. I could see Rick Carlisle wanting a guy that's able to contribute a bit more, defend. I could see Dyson Daniels going as high as 6, but that's it. That anything more would shock me. I could see Ben Mathurin go as high as 5. Yep, I could see Ben Mathurin go as high as 5. I could see Keegan Murray go as high as 5. I could see AJ Griffin go as high as 5. Dyson, I said. Johnny Davis, I could see him go as high as 8. Actually, 8. I couldn't see Johnny Davis get to 7. I just couldn't. Yeah, Malachi. I could see Malachi Brandon probably 10. Yep, 10 or 11. Anything higher would shock me. Jalen Duren is a very interesting one. I could see Jalen Duren get as high as 7. I really could. Hell, 6. Indy want to move on from Miles Turner. Maybe Jalen Duren is that dude for the future big man in Indy. That's going to be crazy. So yeah, Jalen Duren's that dude that could just blow this draft up as well. Yeah, New Yorker says Indy loves Daniels as well. Yep. And Tarek CC, you don't replace Grimes with Davis in the draft or any other 6'5" player. That's the point of no more shooting guards as well. Yeah, I hear you. Burks, Fournier aren't wings. Well, Fournier straight, you got to go. Yep, facts. Yeah, AJ Griffin has that crazy Butler body type. Yep, he does. Right, he's a man child out here. Adrian Griffin medicals are bad. He will be dropping, says Mars. Yep. Based on Jonathan Wasserman's back that up as well. He had him slide to 12 and asked why the New York Knicks didn't take him at 11. He said new intel, LOL. So, yeah, again, could it be smoke to try to help AJ Griffin glide him to New York as well? Tom Thibodeau and I think AJ Griffin's camp would love him in New York as well. What are your thoughts about that? Or Washington, I think would be a nice fit for AJ Griffin. Yeah. Look, in terms of the medicals too, we're only hearing the smoke, but these organizations are going to be the ones that really see these medicals as well. It's interesting. We haven't heard many reports from AJ Griffin. Like, he is a dude being slept on. Let's be real. In terms of there hasn't kind of been the same buzz that you would feel that AJ Griffin would be getting, right? The best shooter in college, 45%, 18, 19 years of age, right? You would think he in a normal year, he should be getting top 4 or 5, 6 talk, but the buzz just doesn't seem to be there for AJ Griffin as well. So that could be kind of odd for me, in terms of could there be more to that? Could it be the medicals? Could it be his team trying to guide him to the right situation? A salute King, what's good? And I don't want medical guys. New Yorker, yeah, best abilities, availability. Shade and Sharp worked out for Charlotte, but not us. Okay, yep, that's interesting. Charlotte, yeah, they've got the selections to move up too. Let's not discount them trying to move up to pair more talent with LaMelo. Salute everyone up in here on fire. So yeah, getting back to what I said earlier with Jalen Duren, he could go as high as 7. Jeremy Sohan, I could see him getting as high as 7 or 8. Yep, that's not crazy. Tari Eason, I think his ceiling is probably around the more 8, 9. Ousmane Dieng, I could see New Orleans or San Antonio 8 or 9 taking a stiff on Ousmane Dieng. Jaden Hardy, I could probably see him go as high as 12. And Mark Williams, I could see him goes definitely as high as 8 or 9 as well. So that's going back to the center situation and the talk about that. Those two centers have currency. Those are the guys that could seriously get up there if a team falls in love with them. And Dalen Terry seems to be rising by the day, right? He could find himself late lottery, 12, 13, 14, 15 as well. Maybe Malachi Branham slips as well. But yeah, Dirty Dancer. Duran is young and huge. If he ever learns to hit a mid-range, he'll be unstoppable, right? Yet reminiscent of Dwight, Superman Howard, reminds some people of him, right? If he could get that mid-range, like you said, that's what a big man should be working on, right? All day, every day. So you could not be played off the floor in the playoffs, right? There's talk that Rudy Gobert is on his way out to Atlanta as well. Atlanta have a lot of options, a lot of chips that they can give. John Collins, Kevin Herter, Sharif Cooper. They could part with heaps of dudes to get Rudy Gobert in there, up with Trae Young as well. But I'm not that enamored with that big man, with the big man situation here. Jalen Duren has crazy upside, but he's raw. I just don't know. And Mark Williams, who knows what his ceiling would be or upside if you're taking him in the lottery. I'm in a situation where the New York Knicks can't miss with this draft. They do need to hit a guy, take a guy that's going to be around for a decade or more as well, or help us move forward up in this thing, right? Too many singles. I need to hit a double or a home run in this draft, right? We need it. We need to move forward as an organization. It's me. We need wings that are combo forwards to defend the best player in the league. Yeah, like I touched on earlier, right? That's our need. Yeah, we need the wings that aren't just one way or the other. They aren't just defenders and they aren't just shooters as well. They could do everything. Yep. If we stay at 11, we get AJ Griffin. I'm happy. Yep. I'm not mad at that at all. I'm happy with that too. Right, good size, 6'6", can play the 3 spot. Shooting is what you need. Star potential. At 11, it'd be crazy value as well. Maybe the New York Knicks do need to take that swing, regardless of the medicals. Let's see. We missed out on Michael Porter Jr. It looked like a bad move, but now don't look too bad. He's looking like a more injury-prone prospect. Is Michael Porter Jr. And we were at AJG's Pro Day. We've seen him too. Yep, absolutely. We've seen him with CAA connections with Tom Thibodeau, his father. I could see his team trying to steer him to New York. That's the suggestion I made before. So I'm not trying to just make things up. I'm just trying to make some connections, and I could see AJ Griffin's team wanting him in New York. Right, absolutely. Try to get to that spot. There's a spot for him. There's a fit. There's a need. It satisfies Tom Thibodeau as a ready now kind of guy, and it satisfies the future long term as well. It could be a happy medium for this front office that can't agree on something, in terms of prospect versus ready now guy. And the fact is, CAA, we know that ain't going away. Jaden Ivey, AJ Griffin could be the two of the Knicks' top targets, together with Ben Mathurin as well as dream fits, for this organization. But yeah, the regime is unpredictable, like Manchild says. We don't yet know what direction they're going to go. This is going to sort of give us that closer look as to what free agency and what the future looks like. But I said we always got to look at the past in terms of trends, habits that this team likes to do. They like ready now guys. They like older guys. They like trading down for more value, all of that stuff. But we do know they're not scared to try to trade up. They tried to get Chris Duarte. If there's a guy they really like, they will try to trade up to get him. So I could see their first situation being for Jaden Ivey, Mathurin, AJ Griffin, get to that 7, 8, 9 spot as well. How high they are on Dyson Daniels, I got no idea as well. I could see them being really, really high on Dyson, but we just haven't heard that kind of buzz yet with the Knicks. We haven't heard that kind of talk. They did bring Dyson in, so yeah, that's interesting as well. Dyson Daniels, how high he goes is still going to be a huge storyline. I don't see him get that top 5 buzz at all. I think anything from 6, 7, 8, 9 10, 11 wouldn't surprise me for Dyson. And Curry had the ankle problem when he came into the league. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good example. Some players, yeah, you got to be brave. Sometimes scared money don't make no money, they say as well. Could a team end up with a home run with Adrian Griffin? Absolutely. There's knocks on guys. Like I said, Jalen Duran, everyone picking him is picking on potential. He's raw as anything. So he might never translate. We've seen how many big men have we seen with the world of potential, you know? Michael Sweetney had potential. Greg Oden had potential. All these bigs had potential as well. For whatever reason, sometimes it don't always happen. Right? That's the risk you take with a big man. I can't trade Cooper. He's on a two-way. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, we were at AJG's pro day, and I think he's going to be on our radar if the medicals are good as well. AJ Griffin only had one ankle injury, and Steph Curry had so many that they thought he might retire early. I think, Steph Curry definitely had a bit more long-term concerns with his injuries. With Griffin, it's definitely not ankle though; it's knee. I think it's Griffin's knee injuries. But Dirty says second generation guys have had all the advantages and usually reach their potential. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do have that cornerstone, that support network as well. Dyson Daniels' father was also a baller as well for NC State. And I searched for Griffin's Slam YouTube episode. He had a knee injury. Yep, yeah, he did have that knee injury as well. But yeah, we've chopped this up in terms of final big board. Not going to make any more changes to this. It's going to be interesting to see how close it is. But yeah, I did go through each guy as well in terms of how high I think they could get. But one thing I can absolutely we can bank on, is that there's going to be surprises, right? Geniuses are going to look like geniuses, and other dudes are going to look like fools as well, based on some of their thoughts. Because what a team really is thinking, no one really knows unless you have credible sources as well. But a lot of teams haven't even come to consensus on who they like. They need to let the board, the draft day play out. There's going to be trades. There's going to be heaps of other factors factoring in. We do know we need to touch on the green room invites as well. That's given us a solid idea, a solid clue as to who is going to be a part of this lottery. 20 guys as well. Were some surprises for me. Marajon Beauchamp was invited to the green room as well. So there were a few surprises with that, but as a whole, mostly they were all. It looked fairly accurate with the green room invites as well. So we can expect this lottery to look pretty similar to a lot of people's lottery. Yeah, the order obviously is going to be all seesaw up and down, but the sort of top 20, 25 guys I've got here, it's a safe lock that 19 to 20 of them is going to be in that lottery sort of picture with that situation. But yeah, I'm looking for the front office to really take that next step to show me and prove to me that we've grown as an organization. We've poured a lot of resources into scouting. We've poured a lot of situations. We've hired a lot of friends and a lot of scouts, and that situation. Walt Perrin, we brought him over. We need to see him work his magic, together with Leon and co. Right? Don't just let Tom Thibodeau call all the shots. Take the guys that they feel are the best. But yeah, we're in a situation where we can't. It's going to be hard to mess this up. I won't say we can't mess this up, but there's a lot of positivity among the chat. You guys, the community out here, salute the New York Knicks community. There is positivity that we're in a situation where we can't mess this thing up. There is a lot of options for us going back to the good. How good we come out of this thing remains to be seen. Like we said, we all hope for that home run swing to trade up, try to get Ivy, try to get Matherin if we can. or get the best possible value pick that we all like. We can get for 11, or a good trade down scenario as well. But I'm looking for trades on draft night. There's going to be a lot of teams consolidating. You got OKC, you got them with 3 picks as well. They only have so many roster spots that Sam Presti can fill. Charlotte are on the come up. They've got a nice young coach that can develop now. They're going to try to continue to build through the youth. Do they like keeping the 13 and the 15 pick? Maybe they try to trade Scary Terry and they try to trade PJ Washington. Those kind of guys clear up their logjam as well. And then we're going to see some teams, perennial losing teams, try to take that next step to make the playoffs. Sacramento Kings as well. Right now, I'm not fully bought into the fact that Sacramento will trade the 4th pick, but I'm at the point where it's 50-50. Sacramento, I think 50-50 are going to trade the 4th pick. So that's fairly significant. The New York Knicks could capitalize on that to the highest bidder wins with that situation. But rest assured, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th spot are all going to try to move up as well. Those teams probably want Jaden Ivey as well. So it's going to be a huge all-out bidding war with that. What does Sacramento really want? We might find out in the coming days and week ahead. Do they want more veteran guy? Do they want a bit of everything? A pick, a veteran, a young player, and all of that stuff? Who knows what their plan is? Maybe they have no plan. This is the Sacramento Kings. Vivek is a owner more eccentric than James Dolan as well. So they've got a glut of young dudes. Detroit's fascinating for me as well, building the right way with Cade, and co. They've got Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart. There are other guys that I forget. They're going to be intriguing. They're going to hit a home run with that 5th pick, whoever they get, right? Indiana is fascinating. The highest selection they're going to make in over a decade. I think almost 2 decades that Indiana have found themselves this high on the lottery as well. Rick Carlisle still there. What happens with Indiana? And then, of course, Portland is where it really starts to fire up with what they do with Damian Lillard. I'm fully at the mindset of that they're going to play along with what Dame wants. If they wanted to trade him, they would have traded him by now as well. If he was going to ask out, he would have asked out by now. He seemed pretty comfortable up on the days. Damian Lillard was actually down here in Australia the other week for a Foot Locker promotion. He was walking the streets here. I saw him, and I didn't speak to him or anything, but he's enjoying his summer. He seems relaxed as anything. He doesn't expect any kind of trade. So Damian Lillard's going to stay in Portland, I feel, at least another year. He's not the kind of guy that's going to get real vocal about disgruntled with that organization. He might tell them quietly. He might say, I'll give you another year or two, see what you can do. And then you can get some more value for me. So, but yeah, that's Damian Lillard. New Orleans Pelicans, crazy situation that what a 180 with Zion Williamson. It looks like he's going to stay. Looks like he's going to accept the money up there. They finished the season on a great note. And they look to be really capitalizing on their potential that they've had for a couple of years now. Does the New Orleans Pelicans, they're going to be in a nice sweet spot at 8 as well. So, San Antonio, then it really starts to open up with their multiple picks, with San Antonio having 3 picks, 9, 20, and 25. That's some crazy injection of young talent with a young, with a young situation with that, with a smart front office. I'm really excited to see what San Antonio do with their 3 picks, and their young talent. Do they trade the 25 and 20 to capitalize to try to get up to the late lottery? They probably could. They could probably trade 20 and 25 to get Ousmane Dieng or someone like Tari Eason at 15 or 14 as well. So that's scary what San Antonio have the potential to do as well. Yeah, Mars on point too. Yeah, Dame was here for the fight as well, and for the Foot Locker promotion as well. Yeah, facts. Right, I missed it. He was freely walking the city streets. Was Dame down here as well, enjoying his off season. Another year with this situation. I feel like he might get fed up after 1 year, but I feel like he's going to wait at least a year to see what Portland can do. They traded CJ. His patience has to be at very, very thin right now. So that's why I put the percentages on Portland trading the 7th pick. I put that at 80%, actually. I know it's pretty crazy high. But yeah, I put the percentages at Portland trading out a 7 pick as 80%. And I salute Valerie. What's good, fam? What's good as well? New Yorker says that's why I'm not feeling Malachi Fournier D vibes as well. Okay, yeah, I could see. Look, Fournier's days are numbered. I feel they're numbered. Now, yeah, we heard a little bit from Mark Berman about his prediction, which was Johnny Davis at 11, and the Knicks trade Fournier to open up that glut that we've spoken about tonight. That glut. Fournier, I feel like his value is going to increase as the contract goes further. He's got still 2 more years on the contract. I don't know what teams are going to be willing to take that kind of money. It's not an albatross by any means. So teams needing shooting, maybe a little bit of swap for salary. I could see the Knicks still trading Fournier. It's probably going to be a bit more difficult without attaching a young player or a pick as well. But let's see. Yeah, a lot of situations we do need to make some trades, like I spoke about as well. Yeah, Dame was front and center at the Shade and Sharp workout too. Yeah, he's having a huge input with this situation, right? Talk about having an organization by the balls. With that situation, it's crazy to think. Yeah, I know he's only 31, 32, but let's see. Yeah, to the chat's point earlier, they're not even maybe the 5th best team in the West, right? So I think what Jarvis said, yeah, it's crazy to think where they're going with that. But hey, that's good for us. Yeah, with Sacramento, Portland have that short-term mindset. Sacramento should just be doing what Presti's doing. Just keep taking stabs till you get it right. Don't be traded in the 4th pick. The Sabonis move, it remains to be seen what that looks like. Chicago made a similar move with Vucevic. You got them to the, deep in the playoffs, or got them into the playoffs. Had a great season, Chicago, but yeah, their ceiling is sort of hit home as to how far can Chicago get with this current roster. And Zach LaVine might even be out of there as well. So with that said, yeah, we always see these teams making short-sighted moves. I hope the New York Knicks have moved past that, and we're not even looking at that no more, or we're not even thinking about that no more as well. So yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, right? Yeah, I've been following this sport for over 30 years. This draft is just going to be one of the more unpredictable things, right? And then leading into next year's draft as well. We'll chop up a little bit about that after this. In terms of what does the 2023 class look like, we should certainly not trade our own pick for next year's draft. Absolutely. We more than likely can find ourselves in the lottery again next year as well, which, may not be the case. I'm not making no predictions yet, but we plain and simply, we shouldn't be trading our pick next year's pick for us. Dallas pick, yes, not our own pick. Absolutely. We need that flexibility to keep rocking with this. Yeah, the Bulls, they made the win now moves as well. Absolutely. Jalen Williams will be a second rounder, would be a second rounder in next year's draft, says Sherwin. Yeah. Yeah, and Branham is a good guy too. His D might come around, but compared to Davis, who is a dog, he's light years away. Yeah, yeah, definitely right now. For me, if you're selecting Branham, it's upside. Johnny Davis is closer to his ceiling, given the fact that we've got a little bit more glimpse of what Johnny Davis is, the way he's grown over the last year or so. But I feel like Malachi, in 2 years' time, if he stays in college, he's not obviously staying in college, but if he stayed in college, he could look like a huge prospect next year, I feel. But a team might be just getting a steal with Malachi. The fact that he's come out a little bit early, you do need to be ballsy to take him as well. Some teams are either going to benefit strongly from getting him if his upside's there, and some team may end up regretting as well. So yeah, that's the nature of the beast up in here. There's only 3 teams in the East I'm confident we are better than next year, right? Yep. Rings home, right? Let's have this whole conversation on after free agency leading into opening night as well as to what the New York Knicks chances are realistically. But I do expect RJ Barrett to have a massive year, bounce back year. Well, not bounce back, just another year of taking a huge leap, I feel. He's putting in work this summer as well. And I love RJ how he does his work quietly. He doesn't post all this stuff. He's playing for Team Canada. He just gets in the gym. He just does it all, and his work ethic is there. It's exactly what we need. And yeah, don't sleep on EJ Liddell. EJ Liddell, I got him at 24 as well. At Milwaukee as well. What a nice pickup. What a situation finding himself in Milwaukee as well. Next year we got to draft Adidas Next Generation MVP Nikola Durisic. It's going to be a crazy class, that's for sure. And it's funny I'll compare Jaden Ivey to Ja, who is an elite passer as well. Yeah, it's sort of you're stuck between a rock and a hard place making comparisons as well, because we do it off a little bit of a highlight tape, all that kind of stuff as well. Let's see them in the league. And JJ says, yeah, same here, Dirty Dancer. Can't see us jumping ahead of any of the playoff teams as well. Look, there'll be team slide. I think Chicago may fall back down. Yeah, Washington. We'll go through it eventually, but yeah, I feel like the New York Knicks, just by default, can improve as a team cohesion, coaching, team chemistry, all of that stuff can improve. Yeah, I expect the Knicks to still fight for the play-in bare minimum as well. If you think about how wretched of a season we had, we win 3-4 more games. We're fighting for the play-in seed this season as well. So the New York Knicks should make huge improvements, but well, my point was we just shouldn't trade that lottery pick. That's our lottery ticket for next year as well. Unless we can get an SGA, unless we can get DeJounte Murray, unless we can get a serious asset, Donovan Mitchell, then you've got to trade the pick, obviously. But right now, the New York Knicks shouldn't entertain trading our own pick as well. The season could very well go as a disaster again as well. Or it could just be not necessarily a disaster, but it could be more of a slower build as well. Let's say by halfway through the year, Tom Thibodeau gets fired. They make a decision. They say, okay, we're going to slowly build this thing a little bit slower than expected now. Let's use this second half of the season to play every young player 35 minutes. And then maybe we do fall into the lottery kind of thing. And Almighty Finesse putting out there, getting more confidence, will be the 5th or 6th seed next season. And Nick Shop and Nerlens Noel means we are signing Mitch. So, yep, I take that as the same thing as well, New Yorker as well. I think they were already pretty keen on keeping Mitch. They want to try to keep him at the best deal possible, I feel, which is why they're prolonging it. But yeah, I've heard the Jake Fisher report as well. Like you say, Nerlens is one of the players that the Knicks have the most active in discussing right now. Source, yep, facts. I appreciate that for bringing that up as well. Yeah, I've heard the same thing. And like I said earlier, Nerlens is an expiring deal, so it should be a decent opportunity to get out of that contract, and that means that money is a lot more stomachable with spending and paying Mitch. You clear that little bit of log jam. You send Nerlens to another team where he can play for a contract year as well, play for that number 1 spot if he can stay healthy. Nerlens could help a contender. You mean to tell me Dallas, who needed a big man in the playoffs, they could have done with a Nerlens. Nerlens backing up, what's his name, Christian Wood. Nerlens could still back up some teams with that salary he's got. So yeah, with that situation, look out for at least a veteran or two to be traded draft night. I'm looking at Nerlens and Alec Burks. Fournier is a good possibility, and Kemba Walker's probably going to be bought out or a part of a bigger package. Yep, a bigger package as well. And East Blue Drew, salute. I've heard we're going for the 7th pick. Well, I could see that. Yep, like I put on before, I think 80% Portland trade that pick, and that's a chance for the New York Knicks to seriously get amongst that. The 7th pick, you're talking about Shaden Sharp, AJ, Keegan, Mathurin. You're really playing with the next tier level of talent with that. Now, what does it take to get to that spot? What do we have to give up? I'm not quite sure. What do you think's worth it? What do you think is going to satisfy Portland getting into that 7th spot? They're clearly going to want vets, right? Give him Burks, or give him Fournier, Randall, some other pieces, and we'll see what else we can get back, possibly from Portland as well. But they're going to want veterans to please Damian Lillard, right, to get back into that Western Conference playoff picture and really make the most of Dame's playing days. Is basically right. There's only one reason Portland's going all in, is just to make the most of his playing days for Dame. Right, otherwise it's just a backwards move. Yeah, OG Anunoby, that's interesting. Yep, that'd be a smart defensive move. Is he going to be around? Is he going to be available? It's me. I think we might need a 3-team trade for the big show. Yep. Yeah, there's going to be trades. Like I've said before, I think it's going to be a huge active night. And I hope, like I said, ESPN get it right, announcing these trades early as well. Not continue the show 15, 20 minutes later, tell everybody that a trade went down. I know there's going to be Twitter, and I'm going to, we obviously keep up to date with that in terms of what's happening with trades and stuff. But yeah, for those at home that want to watch the coverage, it's like, you want everything. You want to be following along with what's happening live as well. And I know that the footage, the broadcaster probably hates the fact that Woj and Shams reveal every single pick before it's even selected, right? It takes the buzz out of it as well. Imagine if we're all at home watching the footage, the feed, and there is no such thing as Woj, there's no such thing as Shams, and we only find out which player is going somewhere when the commissioner announces it. To me that'd be lit. Like I'd enjoy that a lot more, because yeah, the unpredictability, the element of that, the surprise element would just be nice. Just seeing, waiting at home with a bevy, and waiting to hear a certain name called as well. It just ain't the same anymore as well. Yeah, if we can't get to 4, stay at 11. So at 4 or 11 only for Tarek, no 7. Yeah, it's going to cost. It's still going to cost assets to get to 7 as well. Portland aren't just trading 7 for nothing as well. They want something that's going to be conducive to their aim, their timeline as well. Yep. Next year is when teams will want our vets because of expiring contracts. Yep. Rose, Burks, Noel, Kemba, Fournier with 2 years left as well. Yep. Then money's seriously going to open up, but we're going to have to spend some money. RJ, Cam, Mitch, we're going to have to invest some money for real. Right. Huge year for Cam Reddish. How much money we invest in him depends on how much playing time he gets, how much opportunity he gets to shine. What happens with Tom? The front office made that move. Like I said earlier in the show, the front office didn't listen to Tom. That had me positive. The fact that they just wanted Cam and they made that move, regardless of what he wanted. Now it's up to them to get on the same page and work out, is he a guy we're going to play? Is he a guy we're going to invest in? Right, we've got Grimes there. We've got Cam. We don't have too many true small forwards. So behind maybe Fournier or ahead of Fournier, Cam needs to be the guy that at least gets 28, 33 minutes, right, just to see what's going on. Right, we made the trade for him. What are we doing? East Blue says, I don't want to lose Obi, IQ, RJ, Grimes, Sims, Cam, or Mitch. Yeah, I could stomach moving a few of them if it means getting that blockbuster deal done. But yeah, I'm with you, Tarek, as well. Yeah, keeping this young core nucleus, we need some consistency. Like, I know it's one thing to build for the future and try to get those big stars, but there are people that aren't convinced with RJ would trade him as well. For me, you need some building blocks as well for consistency up in there. Your franchise needs an identity, right? To a lot of opposing organizations and players, RJ is the face of New York for the future, right? Like we saw with Jimmy Butler acknowledge, Damian Lillard acknowledge quickly. It's good that these other franchises are acknowledging building blocks on the Knicks, right? We need to acknowledge them and keep them around. With that said, we'll get ready to wrap this baby up as well. But we'll be back on again later in the weekend. We'll get this thing on lock as well. We'll talk more about mocks now in terms of fits with each team as well. So tying a bow on this big board final 3.0 as well. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how far off I'm on, how many picks go according to plan, how many don't, which picks get traded, etc. But in terms of talent evaluation, this is it for me. And it's been an absolute pleasure chopping this thing up as well. Look forward to it. We get less than a week away. We get closer and closer. There's going to be Begley bombs. There's going to be beat writer bombs, Woj bombs, etc. More smoke as well. Like I touched on the bad. Don't get played by these fake accounts. The Robert Randolphs, the trade report, that one that's come out of nowhere as well. Just follow what the legit dudes are saying as well with legit intel. And even then, it's just their own opinion as well with some of the things. Teams aren't fully revealing what they're going to do. But the closer to the day, we're going to hear a lot more about what sounds about right. Yeah, what sounds about right. Truth be told, most experts don't even know which way Orlando is going to go, which is very, very rare. Like I said, with unpredictability, how often has it been where nobody knows who's going to go with the first selection this close to the draft? So yeah, it's absolutely insane as well. But yeah, we'll continue to keep this thing on lock. Appreciate the chat, the replay gang up in here. Join the conversation in the comment section as well. We'll be back soon as well. We'll shout everyone out in the outro. And you already know what it is. The streets are buzzing. Let's get it. Peace.